Hi, and welcome to the show Podium, spiritual truths behind elite sports performance. And we're on session 053, and right in the middle of a beautiful series of podcast shows with this very special guest, Michael Neill. So just before we go over to that recording, I'd like to introduce him to you. Michael Neill is an internationally renowned transformative coach and the best-selling author of 6 books, including Creating the Impossible, The Inside Out Revolution, and The Space Within. Michael is often described as the coach's coach and commands extraordinary respect within his field for unleashing the human potential with intelligence, humour, and heart. He has spent over 25 years as a coach, advisor, friend, mentor, and creative sparkplug to celebrities, CEOs, royalty, and people who want to get more out of themselves and their lives. His books have been translated into 18 languages, and his public talks, retreats, seminars, and online programs have touched and transformed lives at the United Nations and in over 60 countries and on 6 continents around the world. His TEDx talk, Why Aren't We Awesomer?, has been viewed by over 200,000 people. Michael's weekly radio show, Living from the Inside Out, has been a listener favourite on Hay House Radio for over a decade. His weekly blog and podcast, Caffeine for the Soul, is now in its 18th year and going strong. So this week we're just going to go straight over to the recording. Michael and I are having a lovely conversation around goal setting and the use of goals. What about this whole thing about goals? And I think you have got this in the book with regards to, I think in sport we started off, didn't we, with SMART goals, sort of specific, measurable, achievable, recorded and time related. And then I think we came up with, no, actually, we don't want to be so smart in our goals and our goal setting. We want to have dream goals. So we kind of realised that there was this need to extend, if you like, what we were about in terms of high performance. But still, the dream goals became something that would be measures of future funding. There would be consequences, real practical life consequences, if you didn't reach those goals in high performance. So how does an understanding of the principles behind the human experience help people with regards to either setting goals, having goals, or not having goals?
I guess the first thing I would say is I don't think goals are problematic in and of themselves.
Yeah.
I think what can become problematic is when you use the goal to put more pressure on yourself. And pressure is problematic to sustained high performance. So if you can have a goal without turning it into I'm useless if I don't reach it, I'm going to lose my funding if I don't reach it, even if, by the way, it's true. The last thing I want my athletes thinking about are the consequences, right? Good or bad, right? There's a story, I don't know if it's true, but it's a story I've been told a few times about Annika Sorenstam, the golfer, that she would come in second in matches continually. Like she was the best golfer out there, but she would often come in second and she would sort of choke. And people would, thought, oh, she can't handle the pressure. And it turned out that she had a fear of public speaking. So in her mind, when she came close to winning a tournament, she started thinking about that she was going to have to talk about it. And she didn't want to have to do that. And that led to the choking. It wouldn't matter what the consequence is. If you're thinking about the consequence, you're not playing golf. If you're thinking about the consequence, you're not diving. If you're thinking about the consequence, you're not absorbed in the game. So I don't want rewards or punishments on their mind, even if they exist. So for me, the when a goal is helpful, it's because it gives me a direction to look in, and it gives me something to work towards. And if that works for me, great. Where it stops being helpful is where it starts being a pressure point in the system. And I don't want any pressure points in the system if I can help it.
And we're not saying that we're asking them not to think about those consequences or outcomes. We're pointing them towards the truth of the understanding that.
No, I'm actually saying I don't want them to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't want that on their mind. Yeah. I can have a goal for them because it's not I'm not the one performing. Right? The team can have a goal for them. The coach can have a goal for them, but I don't want that on their mind.
No.
It's going to inform our training. It's going to inform the work we do together because it's a direction of travel, right? In the same way as if I'm going to New York, I'll do different things than if I'm going to Japan, right? But there's no more pressure on me going to New York than Japan. It's just a different direction of travel. And I don't go to Japan thinking, I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Japan. I just head out towards Japan, right? Every now and again, somebody might go, where are you going? I'm going to Japan. Oh, okay, cool. Right? It's like, that's it. It has no more bearing than that. It tells me which direction to aim in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stay with this for a little bit because I can just hear coaches saying, "Yeah, but how do you get the players not to have the outcome on their mind, even if they're not, even if the coaches are keeping that away from them?" I mean, as a national coach, Michael, we would never have spoken about outcome really, but I know that the players would have had that on their mind, and so in those days, I was very much of the Chimp paradox model and Stephen Peter's work. And so, we would have gone through all of those what if scenarios in order to be able to, when they come up, control them and deal with them and manage them. And that's not what we're talking about here. So, because we don't want that on their mind.
No, there's a couple of different things. So I look to John Wooden, the American basketball coach, and it was said he won 10 consecutive national championships at UCLA, undefeated 3 times. And all his players swear he never once talked about winning, ever.
Yeah. No,
right? And he would say to them, he'd say, I don't want to know by looking at you after a game whether we won or lost, or by looking at you during a game whether we're winning or losing. Like if I can see that in your body language, you're off. I want to see, are you doing what you set out to do? Are you playing your game? And if you are, then you should look like the way we think of a winner looking. And if you're not, you can look like you're being defeated. That's fine. So because he could get kids to buy into that, it went a long way. So that's one answer. Now, another answer that's kind of more in keeping with the conversation that we're in about the sort of what's behind the curtain. What is going to make the difference? Does understanding really help? Then yeah, I want to show my athletes that they perform at their best when they're not self-conscious. And I don't mean self-conscious just in the traditional sense of a little bit embarrassed. I mean literally when they're not conscious of themselves. And that, if I can show them that, if they get insight into that, if they start to see, man, anything that makes me more self-conscious works against high performance, then they will be, when thoughts of winning and losing do come to mind, they'll dismiss them because they know that's going to impede their performance, not because I told them not to. But if I don't see that, if I think that self-consciousness breeds success, well, then of course that's not going to help. So it all starts with the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I heard in that, and kind of where I would like to go now, is this. I guess this matter of control and where human performance comes from. And what's coming up for me is that performance is impersonal because it's kind of coming through us. The question of, are we in control of the performance really? And if not, then why would we bother? So, because for me, I see that you have no idea. Like you have no idea if you're going to, what the outcome is going to be. And for me, I see more and more that we're not really in control of anything. So in terms of high performance, how is that helpful then if we're not really in control of anything?
Well, here's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
If convincing myself I'm in control means I stop thinking about it, it'll help. if thinking I should be in control means that I think about it more, it's going to get in the way. So the variable isn't whether or not I think I'm in control. It's, does that make me more or less self-conscious? Okay. Does that make me more or less in my head? Does that put me more or less in the game?
Mm.
And now you're getting into almost tactical, right? If you have a player who feeling out of control means that they only do well when they think they're in control, because when they think they're in control, they stop thinking about it. That might be part of my halftime speech to them, but boy, if I have them for longer than a halftime speech, I'm going to try and cure that delusion, because that's going to work against them over time.
Yeah. So
it's this interesting thing that in some ways, the best sports coaches have traditionally been thought of as great button pushers, right? They know just how to talk to Charlie to get Charlie riled up. They know just how to talk to Susie, because Susie needs a pat on the back, but Charlie needs a punch in the face, and right, and there's that element of it. But longer term, over time, sustainable high performance over time, I want Susie and Charlie to see way past their buttons. I want them to see that their high performance does not come from having their buttons pressed. It comes from tapping into that place beyond the buttons.
Beautiful. Wow, what a beautiful conversation with Michael Neill. And I love that we can just point in a direction and then see what occurs to us both. So if you would like to get hold of Michael Neill, you can do so on www.michaelneill.org. You can buy his book, Creating the Impossible, which I highly recommend. And that will be available also on Michael's website, but also on www.class-performance.com/podcasts. The link to his book is underneath the link to this show. And if you would like to get hold of myself, Denise Holland, that is on denise.holland@class-performance.com. So that just leaves me to say thank you so much for listening. We have another show with Michael next week, and I look forward to learning and sharing with you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.